Hey, how's it going? Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. I was speaking earlier this morning, and suddenly there's this word I said, and it had a bit of a rolled R in it, and I was like, oh my god, what's going on? It sounded a bit like rolling, like R. Yeah, not like a pirate kind of rolling the R's and shivers and ooh, treasure. It is more like a fortune, kind of like a wah, kind of R rolling. So I apologize, whoever was in my presence. No one was there. I don't know why I apologize. But for the souls that live in the transcendental, no, on the transient, what's that plane called? On the trans... I should kind of figure these things out before I start on a thought. What's that plane called? Celestial planes? Yeah, celestial planes. They're these... there's this concept that once our soul departs, our human remains, it goes kind of into... like this place, if you want to call it purgatory, but I don't think it's called purgatory. Go to the celestial plane, or what's the plane called? Not transcendental, obviously. Celestial planes, no. Anyway, one of these things, which is a parallel world, and it kind of bides its time for the next part of its journey. Now, whether it's kind of like a stopover, if you want to look at it like you kind of like hopefully not like any of the airports we have on this planet, because some are good, like maybe Dubai is good, but yeah, with smoking rooms and toilets, kind of the soul needs to take a dump between life experiences and decide if it was too much of something, then it goes back to this body, and that's the interpretation given by us human beings. And it's pretty remarkable that we've arrived at this conclusion that we are interpreting other life forms and what their purpose on this planet is, and we project this understanding to other planets, like maybe. I was reading somewhere, the James Webb telescope, what a fantastic bloody thing, very intrusive. It's like a neighbor who's got a really new high-tech piece of gear, and they're kind of looking at you having a bath, right? And we know what that bathroom is conducive for life forms, and having extremely nice ailment, I don't know, whatever you do in your shower, but just speculating. See, the idea that we speculate that Jupiter's moons are conducive for life, or there's a new galaxy, or there's a new kind of thing. It's all just for our own thing, for our own curiosity. We kind of pat ourselves on the back. Amazing, what man has achieved is brilliant. And then women are like, but what about us women? We also want to fucking be a part of the conversation. Oh, what humans have achieved. No, it's not good enough. Like, fucking, we need to change the vocabulary. We need to change the pronouns. We need to make it more inclusive. Like, why the fuck are we doing all this? I think when there's a sense of self-importance, where was the like I don't know, it's it's this, we create this value system which we kind of create, then we kind of reward ourselves with, and then we fight amongst ourselves about, and then we change the value system, saying, okay, now it's more level and more equal, and someone else feels left out, and someone else thinks that they've achieved more, and someone else dominates the system, someone else becomes the richest motherfucker, and it goes on and on and on. I mean, the arrogance with which, I suppose there is some sense of dominance that we are on this planet with, that we can wipe out any species, we can revive a new species, we can go dig up our own ancestors and say, this tooth is from 3 million years ago, and I'm going to take a little bit of saliva from this kind of fossilized piece of tooth and recreate a human being. I'm going to fuck with a goat. And fuck a goat, depending on which part of the world you're in. And they do those things where Dolly and her sister Molly, they were created from some kind of stem cell, and they were made into, what do you call them, clones. And then they're like, yeah, someone said, I'm going to make blonde Chinese babies. And it's just, the arrogance is fucking epic. And then you have people going, you know what, I fucking hate my fellow human beings, and I'm going to go save animals. And that's the kind of superiority you have to achieve, to kind of say, you know what, this planet is under threat, I'm going to save it. It's been around for how long? 5 billion years. How old are you? Fucking 200. And you go, I'm going to save it like a kid, 6, whatever. How old is she now? I don't know if she's aged. Maybe she's just carbon dated, right? Like Greta Thunberg goes, I'm going to save the planet. I'm going to fucking and people take her seriously. Like, wow, okay, like this planet, this ancient being is like, yeah, go on, girly. Go ahead and do what you think you must do. Yeah, I need saving from... But yeah, we there are people who go save you know, dolphins. They go save thing. They train monkeys. They go and save chimpanzees. They kind of, and this is the kind of diversity of superiority and dominance we have. We have some people who will go and who will save blind kids like me. I'm not a blind kid, but I'm a blind man. I'm not even a blind man. I'm visually impaired. I'm in the middle, or like a partially sighted person. P.S. So there are people doing things like that, special needs teachers, helping other human beings. Then you have people going social workers, helping other human beings. Then you have people who are human traffickers, who are fucking other human beings. Then you have people who are drug dealers, who are killing other human beings. Then you go across the realm, you have everything, right? It's like a great kind of bouquet of fucked upness and greatness and compassion and empathy and cruelty and hatred and love and hate. All of it mixed into this. And then you have these people who are kind of saving animals. Then you have the people who are fucking animals. Then you have people who are not eating animals because they think it's cruel. Then you have people who are just hunting animals. It's mind-boggling. And then we apply this saying, no, it's the adventure, the journey that the soul must take before it transcends into the next passage of its time, into the final ultimate self-realization that every human soul or every soul will attain, and everything that you see in the form of life is one version of what that soul has to experience, and it has to go through that journey to finally be where it must, at peace with itself, and join the larger unity that is the consciousness that we all come from and go back to, like waves from an ocean that we are born and die into. Yeah, all these are fucking words that we use. No one has ever told us in other ways. We've written our own books about it. We've created our own religions about it. We've created our own fucking thing that we can agree on, disagree on, fight amongst, fight within, celebrate amongst. And yeah, we just create a lot of noise. Gosh, we're a noisy bunch of bastards. Yeah. I could have just said that up top and be done with all of the other stuff that led up to it, but that's my conclusion. That's my punchline. Anyway, speaking of punchlines, I've got a comedian on today's episode, Mr. Anirban Dasgupta. He's a friend. In fact, my last set of shows that I did in Delhi, God forbid I go back there. But no, it was a lovely run of shows. It was in a place near, we stayed in Gurgaon, and we traveled to a few venues across the greater, what's it called? I'm forgetting. National Corridor, whatever, NCP, something. Basically in that Gurgaon, Delhi area, we did a bunch of shows. I'm forgetting all these things. Does it even matter in the first place that I don't know what that corridor is called? No, it doesn't. It's just one of those things that is given importance because by not knowing it, people in conversation like, you don't know what that is? Oh, fucking Noida area. Who the fuck wants to know anyway? I did a bunch of shows with him. A bunch of shows actually amongst a few comedians. I think there were a nice weekend of shows. And anyway, I wanted to catch up with Anirban because it's been a while. And there's some things that we discovered that we didn't have in common, which you will find out over the course of the episode. Anirban has also done a bunch of gigs post pandemic lockdown opening. He's gone to Australia. He did the Just for Laughs Festival in Montreal. We talk about that and how his writing process and his approach to comedy has evolved over the past 2-3 years, and how his outlook on writing and how his experience directing and putting together web series for Amazon has shaped his perspective on content and the industry and a whole lot more. Hey, it's a bunch of friends, not a bunch of friends, it's a couple of friends chatting about a bunch of things, and it's a couple of comedians talking about a bunch of other things, and it's a couple of human beings talking about a few more bunch of other things. Pretty much that, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it because Anirban's a great guy and a fun guy. You can catch him on wherever you catch him and follow him and check out his work. He's got some work out there, so go do that after this episode. As always, I appreciate you tuning in every week, listening to this podcast. Thank you. Goodbye. God bless. Take care of yourselves. Catch you on the other side. Cheers. Mr. Anirban Dasgupta, how are you?
Good, very good. Very happy to be speaking to you.
I know, man. 3 years to the day, 3 years to the month. I wouldn't say day, but nice. It was actually quite a nice trip, because we were in that villa in Gurgaon, I think, Saurabh, you,
Yeah.
Sumit also ended up crashing, and then what we had Azim,
Azim was there. Yeah.
Sonali, but
Sonali.
it was a fun one of those mini things that we kind. I think thanks to Manik, right? He kind
Yeah.
of facilitated that entire thing and did a mini festival and not festival of sorts, but we had a
It,
staged.
wa-
Yeah,
it was like a festival, that self produced festival.
which I
Some
think is
show.
the way forward. You know, I want to, because you've been back on stage and you've been quite active in getting gigs, and but I want to know what, because for me 2019 at that point it was all about the non-primary aspect of stand-up, right? Which was,
Yeah.
I was a lot of stuck in the noise, like how many gigs other people are doing and
Yeah. Yeah.
all
Yeah.
this conversation of Amazon Prime, Netflix, and I call it now the 90% noise. The 10%, of course, I mean, I would rather be the 90%, which is most important, of course, is having fun doing gigs and enjoying other comedians' conversation. But I kind of appreciate that now. But how has the past 3 years been when it comes to your, I wouldn't say trajectory, but your experience and the kind of your growing up as a person and as a comedian?
So in 2019, when we last met, I was doing stand up, but I was like kind of going through the motions at that point of time,
Mm,
because most of my focus was Afsos,
yeah.
which was the series that I was making, and that took a lot out of me. I did not realize how much like work that would be, like writing and show running
Yeah.
complete series, and
So at
we
that
had
point, you had just screened it for a few people at
yes.
that place we were staying at, right?
Yeah, at the
Right.
farmhouse, I think. Yeah, we screened a couple of episodes.
Right.
It was still in edit. I think it was September. Yeah, it was almost done, but there was some things left.
Ah.
But and I thought at that point, okay, my work is done. The show is
Yeah.
shot. It's edited, but
Yeah.
it wasn't actually, because I fell into two major hurdles after that. There
Oh.
was a issue with the focus groups, where the focus group gave us a like bad score, and for that, Amazon wanted to change a few things which made no sense. So
Right.
I had to fight that battle, and after that, just before release, we got a release date after a long time. And once we got the release date, we also got a stay order from the Karnataka High Court,
Oh.
because somebody had filed a case in Bangalore that this show is copied from his script. So then we had to fight that case. It was
Oh
a
crap. Okay.
completely
So when you
flimsy.
say you had to fight that case, Amazon fought it for you, or you as the writers had to fight it?
No, so it was Amazon and my producers OML.
Okay.
It was a case that they were fighting, but I was also there because as a key person.
Of
So
course. But you
yeah,
don't have to take up that legal. I mean, you have legal representation. You don't have to go as
yeah,
an
yeah.
individual and sit in court, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. There were Amazon and OML lawyers handling it, but
Okay.
it wasn't really moving, and the urgency was so much, for this kind of a situation where, pros are writing on this show and all of that. So
Yeah.
we had a very small window to get it cleared. So I
Yeah.
actually made many rounds of the Karnataka High Court, that red building
So this
in
person who sued you or so-called claimed that you've copied his script or her script, was that a person, a comedian? Was that another
no,
sort of? Okay.
he was an independent filmmaker, and
Okay.
there was a little bit of foul play in it as well, which I thought there was some foul play, because what he did was, like, Indian copyright laws are pretty clear that it has to be like a scene by scene replication for
Yeah.
there to be a case. So he did not know our show because the show hadn't released,
Yeah. I was going to
but
ask you. The show is not public yet, right? How do you?
yeah,
Yeah.
so he'd seen the trailer, and from the trailer he figured out some themes of the show, and then what he did was, I think this is what he did, that he like replicated the first three shots of the trailer, and those shots were easy to replicate in the sense that the first shot of the trailer was Gulshan Devaya's character lying on the track. The second shot, I don't remember, it was like something easy to replicate, and third shot,
Oh.
yeah, and
So
the
you're
third
saying he
shot,
looked at the trailer and then reverse engineered his own shots?
yeah, he reversed, because
Dude,
his
what a fucking
script,
idiot! Like,
yeah,
I
his
mean,
script, this is what I think he told in court, that his script was still, like, in progress. So if
that
you're
way
still,
everyone's script is in progress, right? I can
yeah,
always look back and I mean, something which is not out and kind of say my script is in. I'm working. I mean, that's right. So you're
exactly.
saying this thing can be done and there is no protection against it?
There is no protection. See, like, if it happens in Bombay, I think the judges over here have a little more idea of the copyright laws, because Bollywood is based here,
Yeah.
and these kind of cases are very common. Like people actually use these cases to extort money.
Yeah.
This is what I found out at that point. But this particular judge at that particular court wasn't aware of this, like, nitty gritties of copyright laws. So this guy took advantage of that, and very very smartly, like, got a stay order, and then, like, the next 2 days were holidays, court holidays. So, like, limited our response as well. So yeah, and then eventually he only backed out.
It's such
Yeah,
a thing that someone who I don't know the guy, I don't know claim that
yeah,
I don't put any claims on his talent or lack of whatever, but it just sort of is an example of how anyone like just like how they control someone on YouTube,
yeah,
even someone
yeah,
sitting in their boxes without any kind of idea of stand up or how a joke is written or the effort it takes can sit and trash you or trash me.
yeah.
It's kind of a similar place where this comes from, right? The sentiment of bringing someone down for the sake of
Yes.
just so just because I can, I will.
Yeah,
You have
yeah,
some minimum kind of idea. You take someone else's thing and you kind of put, you use something as basic as your smartphone and you just record these things and it looks similar, say, and then you put a claim.
yeah.
I mean, it's the power at the same time, the curse of the internet, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like for this particular case, like, I spoke to this guy, and
Uh,
that was a weird meeting. Like, this is the guy who basically, like, stopped our show in its tracks, and, like, now
yeah.
I'm, like, reasoning with him. So what I found out was this guy initially thought that like, this is similar. Obviously, there is no way to, like, copy his thing because I don't even know him. But
Yeah.
when he first saw this trailer, his thing was he panicked. Okay, he thought that,
Mhm.
okay, like, this is something similar. It wasn't even similar, but I can, like, there were a couple of themes that are similar. Like, if you look at the whole story, then it would be maybe one thing out of 500 is same. So
That way,
so
there are only
he
so many stories in the world, right? Like, what
exactly
makes it
exactly
unique is you as the
yeah,
writer, director, slash.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So I like, so what according to me, what happened in this case was he panicked,
Mm.
and he didn't know what to do. And others around him, like, lawyers and all, they, like, saw an opportunity here. So
Of
they were
course.
like, okay, like, let's do this. Like, there could be some money and all. So
Mm.
when he backed out, he was like, asking us for, like, things like, I don't think I can talk about this, but yeah, like, so eventually he told me that like, the first reaction was disappointment. Okay, somebody else is, like, doing this which I wanted to do, and he's been working on it for some time. But then what really, like, caused problems for us is people around him taking this opportunity, like, of
Yeah.
this particular filmmaker. Okay, like, using him to basically, like, get money
Boost
from
their
him,
agenda. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and also, like, cause problems to Amazon and me. And
Now, I want to understand, like the thing is, because, this is, of course, escalated because of the larger parties involved and the larger
yeah,
sort of
yeah,
stakes involved.
yeah,
But I'm just trying to think of what this represents in today's thing, right? Because everyone wants to be famous. Everyone wants, or rather, is told that they can be the next big thing
yeah,
by the social media platforms, by things going viral,
yeah,
and everyone's kind of told that you have it and you're the best, and everyone thinks that they have their idea is the next big thing, right? Of course, and they're
yeah,
entitled to their opinions and their feelings.
yeah,
But it also kind of breeds this culture where it's instead of creating, and I mean, while it's happening, of course, everyone's uploading YouTube videos, everyone's uploading it, but it almost feels like it also breeds the sense of, if I can't do it, I'm going to bring the other person down.
yeah, yeah,
Or also the other thing is rush to the first place, right? Like, if there's a topic out, there's this, like, I'm sure you've seen it in the comedy, in comedians doing this. Like, if a news story drops, like, say, Queen Elizabeth something,
yeah,
everyone has to rush to the first joke, and it
yeah,
almost
yeah,
feels like, let's not take time and process this and have our own unique opinion, but the first comedian to the joke is the best comedian. Kind of that culture is kind of coming out, right?
it is definitely there. I think internet, like, kind of pits you against everybody else, because
Mm.
the on the internet, I feel that all these things, like, likes and followers and all, is like internet currency, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
so
yeah.
imagine, like, if in society we were all going around with our bank balance, like, tattooed on our chest, then it's something
That'd be
like
the
that.
fastest tattoo ever I would have got.
So this is so then the society would change, right? Like, then hi, hello, small talk will be different.
Yeah.
So we are living that world in the internet, and
Mm.
everybody is just, like, comparing each other, it's not healthy at all. We all know this.
Yeah.
But then it breeds like,
No, but I've known you as a person who's more. I mean, of course, you have to have your footprint
yeah,
on whatever platform that you choose, and I
yeah,
think I think over the course of so-called years of experience as comedians, I mean, I feel the past 2-3 years have been tremendous sort of acceptance when it comes to some sense of maturity of what these
yes,
platforms are, and they're just tools. But
yeah,
I was caught in that entire sort of the trap, or rather the this kind of noise, for lack of a better word, of the social media game, or how to
huh,
play it, or what not to do, or what to do, and comparing yourself to others. But I want to understand from your thing, like, how instrumental was your social media footprint in getting this show pitched? Because of course you said your managers, your production house at that point was OML, and they of course have a really good network and a good machine in promoting shows and getting good sort of
yeah,
getting the shows sold. But
huh,
just your experience with because you also do have your special as a comedian on
yeah,
Amazon.
yeah.
So what was that entire
Uh,
experience as an
uh,
individual and as a person writing a show, and
huh.
also the social media game? Maybe it's quite a broad topic, but maybe you can talk about how that was for you and that entire
Right.
experience as a creator.
So social media did not play a part at that point. So we
Okay.
hadn't reached, that stage where everything was being done through social media numbers. Now we
Mm.
have. So back in 2017, when my special got commissioned and my show got commissioned,
Uh-huh.
it was mostly like Ajay basically like closed all those deals, and over
Mm.
there. They were looking at numbers and subscribers and all of that, but I don't think that was maybe to like figure out the amount to pay.
Right,
But
right, right.
beyond that, I don't think it wasn't a make or break kind of a thing. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
now I feel it is. So when Afsos was sold, uh, I didn't have to like pay attention to the noise, or like pay attention to what my social media is doing. I could just like focus on making the show. But
That's
right
nice.
now,
Yeah.
yeah, but right now when I'm pitching my other shows or other films, now I
Yeah.
kind of sense it that okay, they are going to take you seriously only if you have a certain number of followers. So I can sense it now.
And I was just listening to an interview with Cat Williams, and he was on one of these radio shows in Atlanta. So
Mm.
he was talking exactly about this, right? How I think he's apparently put out the most number of specials out there. I think he's put out 9 film
Yeah, yeah,
specials,
yeah,
which he's owns all of them.
yeah.
And he just talks about the mechanics of why a special is taken up, and how certain people are celebrated, and how every comedian specifically wants the big deal from the likes of Netflix and Disney Hotstar or HBO, whoever the platform is, right? They think that that's the validation they need. When you look back, some of these comedians are like, I wish I hadn't given my special up. So there's this entire game of keeping your IP versus getting onto these big platforms for the big deals. And if you're not sort of well versed in the entire scheme of these things and how
Yeah.
contracts work, it's a very tempting world. Like, I'm sure people came up to you and said, man, what an amazing thing, your show's been commissioned by Amazon, how much should you get paid? And but once you're immersed in that world, and I
Yeah.
had a glimpse of these contracts when I had my show with Spotify, right? And
Uh,
it's literally like when you're playing against these big companies, you're never going to win as an artist,
yeah,
because
yeah,
their
yeah.
contracts, their legal teams are so full, so sort of robust,
Mm.
that you just basically have to suck it up and take it. I mean, if your numbers on social media are good, then obviously your numbers, financial numbers, are bigger, but
Yeah.
still, it's not that much compared to the machine, which is got that much billions more. So it's quite an interesting thing, because at the end of the day, you might be in your 20s and you're so in awe of it, but I want to understand how the in being on the other side of it, being commissioned, working with all these things. And of course, if you can't talk about certain things, you can obviously avoid it. But how was that, being inside the whole process of working with quite a large budget, with quite a
Uh,
large team, all that
yeah.
process?
I think I lucked out with the fact that ours was a show that Amazon didn't give a fuck about. Like, okay, so
That helps.
yeah, so
Yeah.
I got complete freedom. Like the show that is currently on air. is exactly the show I wanted to make, which
Oh,
nobody
lovely.
can say, in today's times where legal gets involved, S&P
Yeah.
get involved, there are like five MBAs sitting there for no reason. They have to give some inputs. So
Yeah.
I actually lucked out. So I'll tell you, when we were doing pre-production for
Hmm.
Afsos, we were about to shoot in a couple of months. So we had taken up a co-working space in Andheri,
Yeah.
and we were working out of two rooms that we had booked, and the room next to us was Dhruv Sehgal, who's the creator of Little Things on
Hmm.
Netflix. So he was running a writing room. I think at that time it was for season two, uh, and
Is this
we
that show that was on YouTube and then made it on
yes,
Netflix?
yes,
I
yes,
think it's
yes.
I forget which production house.
Dice Media,
Dice Media. Now, I
yeah.
remember someone else.
Pocket
It,
Aces,
yes, yes, that's the
yes,
company.
yeah,
Right,
yeah,
right,
yeah,
right, right. Okay,
right.
now that
So
rings a bell.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. We would hang out either during lunch or like at the end of the day,
Yeah.
and this was like a discussion that we had that he was writing for an OTT. It was commissioned already,
Yeah.
and every week there were deadlines. So every week you had to send stuff to the platform. The platform would get back with their views, and it would so they had to work according to this process, which is a nightmare, to be honest, because if
Yeah.
you're just thinking about a Friday deadline, then when are you really writing, or when are you like seeing the whole picture together?
Yeah.
Writing
Yeah.
can't be done in such an objective way where you just know that okay, every Friday you'll have something. There could be a Friday where you have nothing, but
That also makes you templatize your show a
exactly.
lot, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you're then looking at the approvals rather than looking at excellence. So
Mm.
and he could see us going about things. There's no interference from the platform,
Yeah.
and that was only because ours wasn't an Amazon original. It was
Ah.
on Amazon, but it was a licensed deal, much like how our specials were sold.
Yeah.
So and when my show was being done, it was like towards the end of that run when comics were making shows. So initially, comics were making shows for Amazon because Amazon had just launched and they wanted
Mm.
more shows in the bank. But by the time Source was coming out, they had big originals also coming out, which weren't ready when say Anubhav made the show or when Viswa made the first season of Lakhomake. So
Mm.
by the time our show was being made, they were busy with all the bigger shows, Inside Edge, Mirzapur,
Right.
Patal Lok, all these things. So they were these shows were maybe 10 to 20 times more budget than ours.
Mm.
So they really didn't care. I sent them the scripts. I got no feedback, which is just a complete dream scenario.
Yeah.
The problem happened after the show was ready, and then the focus group things
Yeah.
so that was, so I would still take that, although that also had the risk of ruining the show, because they were toying with the start of the show, which changes everything
But
if
it's
you
not as
change
much
the starter
as
of
they
the
can meddle with when it's in the pre-shooting stage, right? Then they can really come in, chop the script, axe a lot of things
yeah,
out and
yeah.
all that,
Then
right?
it's a nightmare, because then you need complete freedom to write,
Yeah.
if somebody is on your head, then you're definitely client servicing but not
Yeah.
writing. So
Absolutely.
yeah, but over
Yeah.
here, but at the same time, the focus group issue also has the power to completely ruin the show, much like how pre-scripting interference can ruin a show.
Mm.
Because over here, the damage is equal, if not bigger, because the show is ready, and they are saying that change the first 10 minutes. That literally changes the whole show.
Shit. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
this was an equally dangerous situation. But I would at least take that in the sense that I got my cut in the end. So, if I
Nice.
didn't get my
Nice.
cut in the end, then it would be I wouldn't even talk about Afsos, because then that
Yeah.
would
Yeah.
be a show that I didn't make.
You made
Somebody
it
else.
more for yeah, for the, yeah. No, but
Yeah.
how was it takes after all that it's out there so was it a it's a web series and did it go into a second run?
No, no, it didn't. It didn't.
Okay.
And honestly, I also don't want to make a sequel to it, because I don't have a story.
Right,
I
right.
would make it if I have a story.
Yeah.
So, and I kind of knew that this is not going to have a second season, because like these comics making shows, licensing it to Amazon, this like run is over. Like,
Yeah.
the purpose is met. So
Yeah.
I, right from day one when we were like writing the show, the brief in the writing room was that we have to close the show and not
Right.
like write it in a way that we are not getting a second season. So we are quite happy with we how we closed the show, because in
Yeah.
our minds it's a mini series, and
So yeah, can you quickly on that point? Why is I mean, is it a must? So except of course, when the more you write, the more seasons you have, the more money you also get.
yeah.
But I mean, is there a need to go into multiple seasons, or is that the writer or the creator's kind of decision?
No, it is actually a business call. I feel more than
Hmm.
writers and creators, because when you pitch a show to an OTT,
Yeah.
this comes up in the first meeting itself. How many seasons?
Hmm.
Because from a business point of view, they would be looking at, okay, if we invest this, are we investing it in a one-off, or are we investing this over 5 years with
Yeah.
like a
Okay.
lot of
Okay.
scope? So sometimes it hinders my pitches. Like, if I have a really good story, and like I want to pitch it, but then I have to also figure out, okay, what do I have to say to these questions, like, how many
Hmm.
seasons and all. If I say one season, that all platforms do a few limited series,
Yeah.
but it's very few, like, maybe one or two in an entire year. So
Okay.
it's very tough to get into that list. So the other option that I kind of do is, then I pitch it as a film, which
Ah. Right.
which is like a way around it. But also sometimes you need those natural breaks that an episodic show gives you.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
in all my pitches I have noticed that, it's a little bit of a step back if you say that it's just one season.
Yeah, it's big for me. I'm sitting in Bangalore, and I've never sort of been managed by a big agency, or
Yeah.
not for lack of trying, but if people are like, oh no, you're in Bangalore, just stay there. You're happy there, and
Yes.
it's interesting to know how. Yeah, I think you have to market yourself, but at the same time, the entire game of playing to these people's you know playing to getting that investment is such a big game, and if you get immersed in that as an artist, you really get fucked in some way, right? Because you're overwhelmed by the whole process. But from
Yeah.
when you put the show out, literally in a few months after that, I think because of people being locked down at home, there, I think the likes of Amazon, Netflix, the OTT platform,
Yeah.
they sort of went into a feeding frenzy of buying content, right?
Yeah.
Just sort of piling on more and more. But what is your I think as an artist, how did you deal with, as a writer, as a comedian, how did you deal with those days when you had to be on online shows?
Hmm.
And also maybe how how has the sort of landscape changed with these platforms from then? Because I read about these developments, right, with subscribers falling off and
Yeah.
subscribers adding on another platform. But because you are in sort of Bombay or in the sort of thick of things, and you have had inside experience with these conversations, what is your, as an individual and also as a sort of observer, how have things sort of changed pre and now post pandemic and lockdown?
Regarding the OTT landscape, with regards to comedy, it's over. Like, they are not looking at comedy at all.
Hmm.
I've been actually pitching. I wanted to pitch a game show with
Right.
comics, and the first thing they told me is, like, just remove comics first, and then we will entertain this pitch. So it's that bad, like that honeymoon where, like, specials every month, and, like, comics making shows, that is well and truly over.
Hmm.
uh, they don't need comics anymore. Comics also, like, they have their own, like, distributions going. So definitely there is no appetite for comedy
Hmm.
from the OTT's point of view.
Right.
uh, Personally,
Is
I
that a feedback they've got from their audience, or is it just because they kind of overdid it and now they need a lull before they
I
kind of balance out?
I think they overdid it.
Hmm.
100% they overdid it, and now the numbers don't add up
Hmm.
for them. So now they would rather, like, go to the, conventional Bollywood business houses,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
like,
Right.
go about business.
Fabulous Lives of Bollywood
Yeah,
Wives,
yeah,
my
fabulous
favorite show.
lives. Yeah, all of those. So, like, yeah, I do feel comedy benefited from the fact that all these shows, like, whether it's a documentary series or
Hmm.
whether it's a reality show or a full-fledged fiction show, these things take time to you need time to write it, you need time to plan it, shoot
Yeah.
it, edit it, and all of that. And in this situation where these guys were so much hungry for content,
Yeah.
comedy was something that was just there. It was based in Bombay. Everybody was here, and to produce a special, you like literally can do it in a month.
Yeah.
So I think we benefited from that, and
Yeah.
obviously because we overdid it, probably didn't take it that seriously. Now it's over. So
Yeah,
I
that
feel
strange thing, like when I did recorded my special in 2020, I,
yeah,
of course, in hindsight, I should have just gone for an audio special, right? Because I could have
yeah,
spent even like half what I spent on really high-end audio engineers, and I'd have been happier because I would have been more natural. I'm not worried
yeah,
about these camera angles. People are like, "Are you using a Red Dragon Phantom?" I'm like, dude, it does it really matter? Like, if the camera has more sort of retina display than me, right? Like, what's the point? And I was so self-conscious about my hands and this. I'm like, is this what I need? But I've fortunately grown up since. And the problem is, after that, I realized the pitching game is an entire different sort of beast you
yes,
have to tackle.
yes, yes,
So I reached out to the likes of the big companies in Bombay, and after a point, I'm just like, you know what, you need a trailer, you need 4 trailers, all this. And then I realized, man, so that was when, 2020, April, May, people, and someone actually is like, can we cut 5 minutes out of your special and sell it to Amazon? And I'm like, no, why would I? Because it's more than anything, it just takes all that work and that expression of that show, whatever. It may not be the best special I've written, but it came out in an entire piece, and I wanted
yeah,
that to
yeah,
be
yeah,
appearing as a piece. It might not, it's on YouTube, and I'm happy it's there. But it was a really big learning, and at that point in time, I was like, shit, man, does it mean I'm a failure as a comedian? I haven't, like, the one special, it hasn't gone anywhere on YouTube. But I'm so glad, because that was sort of the beginning for me, as a comedian who's been at it for, at that point, almost 11 years.
mm,
I almost was like, you know what, dude, this is where you stop, and now maybe we can look in a couple of years to restart fresh. And
yeah,
it was a scary move, like, because I was like, shit, that means everything I've done till now has gone, and I'm no longer funny, I'm no longer relevant. But it was great, because I literally could sort of, throw off that mantle of all those things which I applied on myself and say, fuck it, you know what, let the lockdown happen. Because if there's no more shows, and that after
yeah,
the 2021, I was like, nothing's changed, it's
yeah,
okay. Maybe I've lost 10 followers. Well, now it's 10 less. It doesn't matter. And
yeah.
then there's no urgency to restart.
Uh,
So I wanted to get your thoughts. What happened to you at that point when you were told lockdown, sit at home, you can't do shows? So what was your thought? Because I know you love getting on stage, but at
yeah,
the same
yeah,
time, you love sitting at home writing and just chilling
yeah.
as well.
I really shouldn't say this, but I enjoyed lockdown.
I figured you're one of those people who might like it.
Yeah, yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So I needed a break. I needed
Mm.
a break, and I was not able to figure out how to like take that break. Afsos released in February. I was
Right.
fighting the case till like January end, and February Afsos came out, and then March I was supposed to go to Australia for MICF, and obviously I
Mm.
wanted to go, but I was really burnt out as well. So one part of me was like, okay, I'm gonna go there,
Yeah.
but I won't be at my best. Like I'll be like
Mm.
still going through the motions.
This was
Uh,
that Asian invasion thing you were telling me about, right?
yeah,
The
this was no the Asian thing I did the year before,
Oh,
2019.
okay. So this
Huh.
was the part of the MICF lineup. The
Yeah, this was also some Indian show only that
Right.
they had programmed that year, and I
Uh-huh.
was one of the comics on it. And
Nice.
so I was like I was looking forward, but at the same time, I had my doubts about like because that's a big effort, like going there for a month doing
Mm.
stand up for like mostly alien audiences.
Yeah.
I felt that I could do better if I just like maybe stay at home for a month,
Yeah.
recharge myself, and
Yeah.
then the lockdown happened, so I didn't have a choice to make, and everything got cancelled. And so for the first few months of the lockdown, I had no agenda. I
Mm.
just wanted to be home and do nothing, like just out of a very exhausting experience of Afsos. So I didn't
And you spent
mind.
it in Bombay, right? You spent the lockdown in
Yeah,
Bombay.
I
Okay.
was in Bombay, and I got into chess. Some via Samay. I got
Oh,
into
right.
chess. chess pretty early in the lockdown, and 2020. If I have to describe 2020, it's chess. Okay, I did nothing. I just played, like,
Queen's
it's an
Gambit, is it?
addiction. Yeah, I
I
haven't
read the
actually
book.
seen. Oh, you
That's
read the
all
book? Oh,
yeah.
I haven't seen the show as well,
Right.
but I got so hooked into chess. Somewhere Vaibhav Biswa, like, it became a thing. Like, we would, like, share videos, play against each other, play
Hmm.
tournaments, like, or, like, just be playing for fun.
Nice.
And chess is an addiction. It
Hmm.
clearly is. Like, no other sports is that addictive than chess. Like,
Yeah.
I would find myself, even if I have a call in 5 minutes, I'd try to squeeze in a 3 minute game. Like, so it was
So
it
did
was
you
like
do
that.
conventional chess or was it speed chess?
It was mostly like speed chess,
Okay.
online chess, with time controls.
Okay.
But then Vaibhav and I would, like, sometimes hang out at home and play, like, classical chess with no time frame. That would go on, like, for 2 hours. That match would go on. But
Nice.
mostly it's like time chess, because online it's difficult to play classical.
Okay. Okay.
So 2020 was just spent there. Then maybe, like, towards the end, when things were starting to open up, then I started thinking about comedy a little bit.
Hmm.
Obviously, like, business got affected. Like, so many, like, Zoom shows only was the only source of income at that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I did quite a few of those. And then I like, when the lock, I really did not know what my next show is, like, in stand up. Like, I had bunch of stuff from 2019, 2020, but that wasn't a special, like, that wasn't an hour I was happy about. So towards the end of 2020, I started to, like, think about my next hour, write some jokes, test it out at that comedy club over here.
Hmm.
But then again, like, it stopped, right? Like, it was stop start. Like, it opened
Yeah.
for 2 months, then again it would lock down. So 2020 was chess, and 2021 I spent because my wife was pregnant. So
Oh, lovely. Okay.
yeah, so, like,
Are you a
2020.
father now?
Yes, I am a father now.
Ah, so am I.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh,
I.
wow.
Yeah. How old is
this
your
is
little one?
this is great way to find out in the
I
middle of
know.
the podcast recording.
So, how old is your? Um,
Daughter, one,
oh,
just
wow.
turned
She's
one. Yeah. What about
fantastic,
you?
man. I have a daughter as well. She's 4 months.
Oh, wow. Oh, this is crazy, crazy.
Dude, that's awesome, man.
Congratulations.
And this is the best part. That's why I hit record immediately because I didn't want to like discuss our lives off air. So congratulations, man. I'm so glad
Yeah,
to hear
yeah.
this.
Yeah, so, like, so 2021, my wife had a very complicated pregnancy. She had to be on bed rest, and at
Ouch.
that
Okay.
same time, the second wave was on, and then, like, soon after, the third wave. So I stopped going out of the house because just couldn't risk anything.
Yeah,
Uh,
because you don't want to bring anything back home, no? Right,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
So
So
your wife delivered in 21.
in 21, yeah,
Okay, so yeah, so that means September, almost around September, right, right.
August, yeah,
August. Oh, that was a tough time to be pregnant. I mean,
yeah,
it was very sort of nervous, right? Like people
yeah,
getting COVID, and it was that point. I think it was the Delta variant,
yeah,
and
yeah.
everyone
That was,
was
yeah,
yeah,
that the second wave was, like, pretty horrific. Like, all the things that I was seeing on social media
yeah.
was very scary. And on top of that, my wife Swati, she had a complicated pregnancy, so we had to, like, go to the hospital once in a while. There was a surgery, so we were very,
Oh
very
shit.
scared about, like, catching everything. It turned out okay, in the sense that I stayed at home, and we just, like, would watch, like, sitcom after sitcom. Like, we'd
Yeah,
start
yeah.
watching sitcoms in the morning, then in the
In all, in
evening.
some in some way, you have to almost isolate yourself because even if,
Yes.
like, say, Swati is already, she was already like nervous. There was complications which she has to be aware of. She's physically feeling obviously the things that women feel when they're pregnant, but
Yeah.
added fear, added nervousness, and when you're stuck in the house, just two of you, I'm sure. Anyway, I'm sure, tempers, emotions would go up and down, but when you are then subjecting yourself to all this horrific news you're hearing, man, you in some way want to just close off the world and just watch happy stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly what we were doing. We were, like, just
Yeah.
watching, rewatching, like, sitcoms like Big Bang Theory and, like, Seinfeld and Friends,
Yeah. Friends,
and
man. Friends is
yeah,
timeless, it's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah, yeah. We would,
Yeah.
like, just watch, like, we would, like, do marathon sessions. Like, we'd start watching at 11 in the morning after
Yeah.
waking up, and then would till watch till, like, say, 7:30 when the IPL would start, which is another sitcom. We would watch it like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
so yeah, so that's how I spent my lockdown. And both the lockdowns 2020 and 2021. And when things finally opened up, I really felt good. Like I felt fresher. I had new ideas. In these 2 years, I had done some writing. Like I'd done some writing for like shows that I want to make later
Mm,
on. So yeah, I felt okay. I felt
nice.
like much fresher than when I entered into this
Did you
phase.
feel this sense of loss? When I mean loss, not with anything else, but with this sense of a certain because like when you're a comedian, you really ride on that momentum, right? From gig to gig, you feel tighter, you feel more crisp, you feel like you're riding that wave of doing well at shows, right? And
Hmm.
when there's a big break, you feel rusty. You feel like
Yeah,
oh crap, like,
yeah,
and you heard all these podcasts and these sayings where like you're only as good as your last show. Or
yeah, yeah.
um, do you feel like at some point you panicked, going, oh shit, the comedian Anirban is no longer there, or did you say, fuck it, let's see what happens?
Yeah, I don't think, no, I did not panic. I did
Huh.
not panic. I was actually, like, I took this whole thing in my stride, probably because of circumstances, because I was just, like, I did not have much momentum going in. Like, I was like
Okay.
doing, anyway, like, how I was attending stand up before the lockdown was already very stop start. Like,
Ah,
I would say, like, I would go to Delhi with you guys, stay in a farmhouse, do stand up for like, a weekend.
yeah.
So maybe I'll do stand up in September. Then October I would completely be off for
Nice.
like, to
Okay.
handle some offshore or to firefight some issue.
Right.
Then again I would like probably do a few shows in November. Then December again I would be off. So I was already in not in a good zone. Like, I
The
was not
flow.
taking.
Right. Right.
The flow wasn't there.
Yeah.
So I would like plow like power through shows. And there's this one show review that I got, which was a little surreal. Like, I know that I'm going through this, I'm going through motions, but the audience doesn't know, right? Like, the
Yeah.
audience is not supposed to know.
Yeah.
And if you are killing in a show, then the audience also will not get to know. And I had enough material to kill.
Yeah.
Uh, but then there's this one show I did at TCC Bangalore,
Yeah.
and then I got a message on my Instagram, and it was an okay show. It wasn't one of my best shows, but it wasn't bad either. It was like
Yeah.
killing throughout, and like, that room with 200 people, it's like difficult to not do well.
Yeah.
But this one particular audience member, this person wrote on my Instagram a big, like a full paragraph, where he said, I remember this, that Anirban, there's something going on with Anirban behind the scenes, because I caught him just staring into the void at many at many points of the show, just staring at the back of the room into the void with his eyes not knowing what is going on. So I was like, wow.
That guy's does. I mean, that guy's like your long lost lover or something who's reading your your body language. I think.
Oh man, he can't. Then I was like, I was mindful of this in the next few shows. You guys
Yeah.
shouldn't look at the word. I know exactly what he's talking about, because
Yeah.
I do.
You kind of are an
Like,
autopilot, right? You're just
yeah, yeah,
doing. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. I was like, when I read that, I'm like, this is 100% accurate. I
Yeah.
was actually staring into the void, because TCC, you don't see
Yeah.
anything like beyond the point. And probably I was thinking, what's the next joke, or maybe I was not even thinking that. Uh,
Yeah.
but he caught on to it. So I was going in through that kind of a phase when it comes to stand up. So I
So you didn't really have that regret of things closing down because anyway you're like, yeah,
yes,
another
yes.
month doesn't matter, right? Right.
Yeah. I needed some like, break, like some, like it happened to be a forced break, but it fulfilled my purpose, that I needed, like, to go away, just to, like, see it more clearly. So now after
Mm.
like lockdown, I really enjoy really enjoying stand up. This year has been like very fulfilling. Like, I did a lot of like these shows. I went to Just for Laughs, and
Yes, I want to ask you about that. But before that, I want to just understand one thing. Because I remember the days when you were still in Calcutta
yeah.
and Weber, when you would travel across the country like a very sweet couple. Like every show,
Yeah,
you guys would come and do it together. You would, pitch yourself as a duo, right? So that way you
yeah,
both
yeah,
would
yeah.
can kind of take a room up on your own, and you would have like an hour plus between the two of you. And I remember, like, for us at that point, it was Sanjay, Praveen, and me doing a
Yes.
similar kind of thing, to kind of just get out there, do more shows. And we would take up everything. I'm
Yeah.
talking about 2011, 2012, 2013. Like any show we would do,
Yeah.
any city we would do, we would just go and it was fun. It was really, really uh, difficult at the points because you kind of are so caught up in caught up in the idea of material and conversation. But it was a great experience, and I wouldn't replace it with anything.
Yeah.
But fast forward 10 years, obviously the landscape, the number of comedians, the languages, the competition, whatever you want to call it, has changed.
Yeah.
So how and now you just mentioned this whole idea of you're cool to let go for a few months. You're okay. You're not kind of being like, oh my god, stage time. And because as eager comedians, we always hear the likes of Joe Rogans and the likes of Dave Chappelle and the likes of these podcasts where it's like stage time, kill, murder, 10 rooms a night, 15 open mics, specials every year, this, that, and all that. How are you now? With all these years under the belt, and what is your approach? I mean, you spoke about the lockdown and how you entered it and exited it, but what is your now as a comedian, but also as a father? You've had these many years as a person, you've changed and grown, or whatever's happened. What is your, or let me rephrase that. How do you use comedy and how do you view comedy now at this point in your life?
Uh, I try to use comedy to feel good.
Mm.
Uh, that's uh, that's something that I actively try. So there are a lot of times when I do spots without really no new joke or not building for anything. Just go and do like a strong 10, kill, feel good, and come back.
Nice.
I think this was one feeling that I missed during the lockdown,
Mm.
which is this instant validation, this like that comedy gives us,
Yeah.
which I kind of tried to find through chess. Okay, which
Mm-hmm.
and it's very similar, and honestly, I at one point I felt that chess is giving me the same high that
That's
comedy
awesome.
gives me.
Yeah.
So that is one thing. Obviously, like comedy is important to pay the bills as well. So I'm mindful of that. So there
Yeah.
will be sometimes some things I take up just for money if it's like a short term thing. Uh,
Yeah, of course.
so
Yeah, yeah.
uh, so that would be the second layer of like what comedy is. But essentially, I want to do comedy to feel good about myself.
Because that's something which now is in question, right? Like when you
Mm.
hear, at least in the echo chamber of entertainment and comedy, it's this whole thing of cancel culture,
Yeah.
woke culture, and political correctness, and everyone's like saying stuff just to get a reaction, or saying stuff because they're like comedy should leave a message, it's a movement, etc., etc. Or you see the reactions like screw these people, I'm going to say whatever the hell I want. Or then you
Uh,
have people going and being like, oh, I'm going to be dark and get a, for the sake of being dark comedian, or a
yeah.
white, black, or
Yeah.
gay or straight, or representing minority issues or whatever, like throw the finger, punching up, all these things I'm sure you've heard in
Uh-huh.
some sense. But I really like that because it's something which is so refreshing to hear, that I just want to make people laugh and feel good as a result.
Uh,
Because we end up taking ourselves too seriously in the beginning, right? And I was doing that as well. Like you calculate jokes per minute, or you calculate like, is that joke hard enough, or is it layered enough? All these stupid things. But I'm glad that that's something you're feeling now.
yeah, I do like this thing about like making people laugh is probably not that important. Like in my head, like obviously like it's a result of like
Mm,
doing comedy that people are gonna laugh. But
yeah,
I like treat it in a very selfish way. Like
yeah,
instead of like being given, I'm like taking.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
you guys come, give me this feeling, and
yeah.
then I'll go home, and then I won't have to get high because this is the high. So yeah, and I
Nice.
think like you were saying, initially like comedy was very different. How we approach comedy, me and Weber, we used to like just go up on stage wherever we would get an opportunity.
Yeah,
Uh, right now, yeah, obviously then it changed into like then we started doing hours, and then like then we kind of like stopped seeing each other in shows, which is very difficult to think. At one point we probably did like 200 shows together, and then
yeah.
came a point where like we are doing our own things. To now, I feel our scene has become very solo driven, obviously, over
Mm,
the past few years. we don't really get to do the CLC weekend lineups, like, that used to be a place where everybody would hang out.
And that
But
was so much fun because of the kind of situation backstage, right?
yeah, yeah,
We
yeah.
would go out. Like I remember, like the group of us, whoever they were, like whether it was, even if they were the lineup or off the lineup, people would meet and we would go out
People
post
would
show.
come. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It was really nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
green room used to be a thing. Right
yeah.
now it's all solo. But currently in Bombay, there's a very nice thing brewing, where both TCC and Habitat, they have like started late night shows, and they
Mm.
do it throughout the week. And those are all lineup shows.
Oh, lovely.
It's
Okay.
it's not like a huge deal. Like these are small like clubs, small rooms. But I really get a lot of satisfaction in doing these rooms. You are like you are on a very good lineup. Like on some days you're following Utmanyu, some days you're following Biswa. The
Mm.
crowd is good. They have come for comedy. Like these people, like this crowd comes for comedy because there's nobody on the poster.
Oh,
Now they've
that's.
figured out that if you go to TCC, Biswa might pop in. Or if you go to Habitat, like Samay might pop in or Abhishek might pop in.
Mm.
But essentially they are buying tickets without seeing a
For the night.
headliner for the night.
Nice.
And these late night shows are so loud, so good. Like they're drunk crowds. There's all kinds of people. There's some like parents who have like come keeping their kids with the babysitter or
Nice.
grandparents.
So late as in how late? Because I mean,
On Fridays and Saturdays, TCC has a 11:30 show
oh,
that
that's
goes on
late.
till 1,
Okay. Okay.
and Habitat has a 12 a.m. show that also
Oh,
goes
okay.
on till 1:30. So this happens in the weekend, but
Ah.
rest of the week there are 10 o'clock shows. They're also like sometimes like spills over almost to midnight. So
That's pretty cool that
yeah,
it's become a thing, right? That's really nice. Yeah.
I actually enjoy this. Like this had a big role in me again starting to like get back into the flow of stand up.
Mm.
I used to basically leave the house, go do the TCC late nights. It helps. The timing helps also because the baby sleeps by then.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my role is like pretty like limited after that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, this was actually a big like I was actually worried about like all these venues shutting during the lockdown, but these
Yeah.
guys have somehow like
I'm
managed
so
to.
glad that they're able
Yeah.
to they were able to sustain. So you with your baby now, and because Bombay is not like technically home, right? So did you
Yeah.
and your wife manage alone?
Uh, yeah, we managed during the pregnancy. Obviously, like we were alone, and
Yeah.
even after she was born, then we went to Pune for 3 months.
That's
Uh,
where your wife's from.
my
Okay.
wife's house,
Okay. Okay.
and yeah, we needed some help, and
Yeah, I was going to
then
ask because you're doing all this. I just wanted to understand how you have a situation
yeah,
where you
yeah. So
can.
we moved base for 3 months. Then we came back after the baby turned 3. We came back to Bombay, and then we managed alone for a few months.
Mm.
And then it was becoming a little difficult.
Yeah, I was going to say it's hard.
It was like quite something. Then like when I would go out, then her parents would have to come in from Pune. So it was
Mm.
it was impossible to plan anything, and we were in a 1 BHK, so there was no scope for like parents staying there also because they
Right.
had to come and go. So it was like if I would go to Delhi, they would come and replace me, and then when I would
Shit.
come, then they would go. So it
Yeah.
was happening like that. So now then we moved into a bigger place. We moved into a 2 BHK, and now the in-laws, they stay for quite some time. Sometimes they like will go away for maybe a month. That month we'll
Okay.
be alone,
Okay.
but then the next 2 months they'll be around. So yeah, it's like they are the supporting actors in
No,
this
that's
film.
great,
Very
man.
important.
Because the thing is that yeah, it's difficult, right? Like if you're traveling for gigs and you just went to Canada, and
Yeah.
it's nice to know that your wife and daughter are in safe,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
otherwise you're already like anxious, and we anticipate as comedians, and not having one more thing to worry about is quite
Yeah.
exhausting.
Yeah, it
But
actually happened because before Canada, I went to Australia for a month,
oh, so that
and
happened this year, the one
this
you
year,
okay,
yeah,
lovely,
yeah,
okay,
that happened. But it was was not an India show. It was the road show. So I did the road show basically after the festival. They hit the countryside and
oh
do
right, so
shows.
that's where you go across the right,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, yeah. So when I got that gig, that's when we decided, ki, okay, like if I go to a Delhi or a Bangalore or a Kolkata, I can come back the next day.
yeah,
But this is like a 1 month thing. So now we need to like change a lot. So we were already thinking of like moving to a 2 BHK.
Yeah.
So that like this gig, the confirmation of this gig like hastened the whole process.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty interesting, right? You said you entered the lockdown burnt out, and
Yeah,
then you exit it with all these changes in your life, right? You have a
yeah,
child,
yeah,
your shows up there on Amazon, and you've kind of processed all these things, and now you're like ready to go, and you immediately go to sort of these small towns across Australia, which of course was so protected, and in fact became more sort of looking within over the course of the lockdown, right? Their borders
yeah,
became much more strict.
yeah,
And so,
yeah.
how is that for both you as a performer who's kind of now thrown into this action, or rather this environment, which has become a little bit more sort of Australia centric?
Huh.
And also, how is the audience kind of meeting this lineup of comedians who are international?
I was the only international act
Oh, even
on my
better.
yeah. It was great actually. This
Yeah.
month, probably the most enjoyable stand-up month of my life.
Nice.
Like it's like you can't really compare different experiences, but I enjoyed Australia more than Canada because Canada was a different kind of a gig.
Mm.
Uh, this was just stand-up. Like there were four Australian comics and me,
Right.
and we went to 14 towns.
Oh, nice.
It was a road trip, two SUVs. We would like just like leave in the morning, reach in the afternoon, hang out for a day, then do the show the next day. We had
Okay.
breaks, so it was great. Like I felt so good to be out of India.
Yeah.
It was like I don't have to like worry about like like in India I like get kind of stuck in the news and what's happening, politics and all of that. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
this is like a complete cleansing kind of a month, and
Yeah.
the only focus was stand up. Uh, every every day I would just think about okay, what will I do, because like I would not think about stand up that much in India. If
Mm.
I have a show at TCC in the evening, I would
Yeah.
just show up.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I would probably not even think about the show for even a second the entire day. But even over in Australia, because it was a completely alien environment, the audience has no idea who I am. Uh, I think in these 14 towns, except Perth and Mandurah, in 12 shows, there were no Indians in the audience as well. It was
Oh, okay.
completely like like alien, and I was going
Yeah.
in cold with no context,
And your
and I
references as well. You have no idea of those towns and what they
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
represent in the people, right? Yeah.
yeah. But I enjoyed like the whole process of thinking about stand up, because I
Yeah.
probably haven't done it for like 5 6 years. कि, okay,
Yeah.
aaj raat ko, tonight I can start with this. Tonight I'm doing
Yeah.
in this
Yeah.
town, so I'll start with this. This like has become second nature in India. Like if I'm in Bangalore, I know what to do. Like if I'm in Calcutta, I know what to
Yeah.
do. Over here, it felt like a challenge. So even and I was doing well in these shows, and
Nice.
yet I was worried about the next show. So I was killing hard and still thinking that tomorrow I can bomb hard as well, because it's so new. There is nothing in common. Uh,
And that makes you a
there,
stronger comedian, right? Because
yeah,
you're not taking it for granted, right?
yes, yes,
Uh, if you get lazy in that environment, saying, yeah, the next 5 days, and I think at some point at Comedy Stores and then Laugh Factory, it made us a little bit complacent at some points. I'm not saying
totally,
all the
yeah,
time, but we would sort of get spoiled because the crowds were so good, and
yeah,
they all were similar at some point, right? Because they
yeah,
would all be, okay, English speaking Indians or whatever
yeah,
the framework. But this is an amazing learning because you don't know what the next town has to bring. Yeah, the only common things are Australians, but
yeah, yeah. And they were telling me stuff like this is a mining town, only drunkards come over here, and they were
oh
telling me
shit.
this is like there's one town we did that had a population of 2,500. That's the population of the whole town.
Shit,
So
that's like your
like
building in Bombay, dude.
yeah, yeah, 100%. My building has more people. I use this in that show.
Ah, nice.
So it was nice to be like kept on my toes, in a way. And also like when you're touring with like four people, and I knew one of them, I knew the tour manager, but like met them like 3 4 years back, and
Yeah,
like not really in daily contact with them. So I felt it was important to do well in the shows,
yeah.
because I realized comics at the end of the day respect comedy. Okay, like so if I am doing poorly, then I'm gonna get a really bad time off stage, like, and I have to like
Yeah.
stay with these guys throughout. Like, we are traveling every day. We are like checking in to hotels together. We are eating together. Everything is happening in a group. It's a true, like, being on the road with a. It's like touring with a band.
Like the
And
fame rubs off. If you're even a big comedian, if you're tanking 3 nights in a row,
uh,
they think they're like, yeah, this guy, I don't know what made him famous, but now
yeah,
the
yeah,
person who's
yeah.
doing well is actually given more of a sort of, salute,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So comedians are always like respecting the kill. So
Yeah.
I was, I really wanted to do well so that
Yeah.
I at least like get along with them and I feel that I belong there. Otherwise, there's a chance that I would feel a little isolated, which I
Mm.
felt in Canada actually. Like in the first couple of days at Just for Laughs, when I did not see any familiar faces, I was like,
Right.
okay,
So
what
can
am
you
I
just sort
doing?
of, just before you go into that, can you just give me and context people listening of which part, because the Just for Laughs festival in Montreal, right?
Yeah,
It's huge, and
yeah.
it's got different aspects to it. Can you just talk
Yes.
about what you went for?
Yeah, so Just for Laughs has a very prestigious showcase series called New Faces.
Mm.
So this is something that's been going on, uh, from the 90s,
Okay.
and so New Faces. Some of the alumni of New Faces is the list is insane. It's basically Kevin Hart, I think Amy Schumer, Hassan Minaj, Jimmy Fallon. Like the list never ends. Like I'm like
I think
Gary
Russell
Goldman.
Peters has been on it as well. I think
No,
Russell.
I don't think Russell Peters has been on New Faces.
Okay.
But yeah, but like bunch of other like superstars like yeah, like because when I was applying for the visa, I would like list out these names. These are the people who have like been part of this show, and I
Nice.
really had to drop a few names, like big celebrities. Had to
Shit.
drop them because it was just making my email look bulky.
Right.
So it's a very it's been a very prestigious showcase. So
Mm.
Just for Laughs as a festival is a industry festival,
Mm.
which means that the entire industry is present, like the comedy industry of the US, UK, Australia, like the first world.
Okay.
They are all there, like
Okay.
right from Netflix to Amazon to ABC to NBC to CBS, uh, production houses, people involved in comedy, people who produce it. Like it's a festival that's focused on the industry.
Okay.
So New Faces is one of the showcases that the industry really looks forward to. So because that's where the big star, like the next big star can come from.
Yeah, your potential launch platform,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's very, very secretive. Like they don't release the names of the new faces. They announce it just like 2 days before the show, so that like media doesn't find out or other agents don't find out and like book him or like
Oh,
or
right,
grab
right.
him. So it's like a big deal. So this
So
is
you
but this was like limited to US and Canadian comics only. So for the last 20-25 years, this has been going on only for US and Canadian comics. This show is so big that it has a Amazon documentary series on it on just
crazy,
New Faces. It's
crazy.
called Inside Jokes. It's on Amazon Prime, and this would be the alternate power center to the Tonight Show. So Tonight Show was one place where you would
The
discover
launch,
comics,
right? The Johnny
and
Carson, right, 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 right,
Johnny
right, right.
Carson, and like in the 90s, like Leno and Letterman and Conan. So this would be the alternate power structure for like launching comics, New Faces of Comedy. So both were
That's
like
amazing.
pretty equal.
Mm.
This time they did international New Faces for the first time. So they opened it
Okay.
up for the rest of the world. It's a
Mm.
new show, so they didn't merge it with the US Canada thing that goes on as it
Mm.
is.
Okay.
But this was like they would like invite 10 comics from around the world and
Oh,
basically
so it's
make
based
them.
on invitation. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it was based on a very thorough like selection process actually. Like this the selection process was so thorough I almost missed my visa. Like it went on for so
Shit.
long that we had really little time to get the visa. So they asked for a video, then then they would shortlist comics, then they would how you apply to like these schools, like what are your long term goals,
Oh
what do
shit!
you
Like a
want, like
statement of purpose.
yeah, yeah. So we had to like send across like vision plans and all.
Yeah.
And I sent them another video because when I got shortlisted I was in this place called in this this place called Hayden in Australia, which
Okay.
that town has nobody. I'm pretty
Right.
sure it has like 100, 200 people. we were we were there. on our way to another show town. We were
Yeah.
just taking a rest because there's a wave rock, there's a monument there. A natural, not a monument, a natural wave formation, which is like a tourist spot.
Right.
So I was there, and then I got the call that okay, I'm shortlisted, and then they sent me these questions, and then there was a question which said, "Do you want to tell us anything more about your application, like something that you haven't shared in the past?"
Yeah.
So I sent them a video from the show the night before in Australia,
Yeah.
and I think I was doing Perth, and so like my pitch to them at that point was that this is like me performing in a completely alien crowd,
Yeah.
which would be my performance in Just for Laughs as well.
Yeah.
So and I sent them a very tight 6 minutes, like it was like everything was killing hard. That
Nice. Nice.
so I remember in that Hyden hotel, I was like basically editing to send it to like
Shit,
that
that's
that
crazy.
yeah.
Nice.
So I was lucky that I was in Australia when the selection process was going on, so that gave me an added like video
I mean,
to
it gave you instant access to a show which was
yeah,
for them they were able to connect with, right? Because they're like, okay, this
yeah,
guy's doing it in an
it,
audience which is not his stomping
yeah,
grounds, right? It's not
yeah.
like a
It was
familiar.
almost like a rehearsal. Yeah,
That's fine. I mean, that's actually really a lucky break that you
yeah.
could, and you could do a couple of more options, right? And you could get feedback from the other Australian comedians. That was really
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
So like this selection process went through, and then they selected one comic from India, and yeah. So I got through that, and then they flew me
Congratulations,
down.
dude. That's
Thank
huge.
you so much. They flew me down. It was a big deal over there. Like they really took care of us.
Right.
It was very like I was staying in the festival hotel where everybody else was also staying. Like I would meet Pete
Nice.
Holmes in the lift. I would bump into Jimmy Carr every time I went down for a smoke. Mark Maron was there. Every like it was just weird to be in that hotel. Acaster,
Nice.
Jara O'Brien, all the British comics, all the Australians, Ronnie Chang.
Nice.
These guys also came from New York. I was right. Like just like this is the Hollywood of comedy. I understood. Like it was
Yeah.
like all the big boys are there. Bill Burr. I saw Bill Burr pop into a show like just to do a spot. I was
Nice.
just there, like watching some other comics. I'd gone to watch an Irish comic, and suddenly I'm like Bill Burr that showed up. What the fuck?
So this the entire city of Montreal, it sort of becomes
Yeah.
alive with comedy, basically.
Yes. It's a
Nice.
party. Like they know how to throw a party. The streets are buzzing. Like the festival mostly happens in one part of the town. I think it's just like the French part of the town,
Uh-huh.
and it's beautiful. Our show actually, the main showcase got fucked. Like we were all ready for the showcase. We had done our like rehearsals. We had done some practice spots that JFL had only organized,
So these are
and then
recorded spots, right?
it was supposed to be a recorded spot,
Oh, you're
but
getting to
then
that. Okay, right.
but so the main showcase was at this place called Monument National, which is Canada's oldest theater. It's beautiful. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of videos from on Just for Laughs YouTube channel from like in the from the past has been shot there. So our show was also scheduled there, and it was going to be shot. So we did all the rehearsals and everything was ready. Audience is packed, 800 seaters sold out. 1 minute before showtime, the fire alarm goes off,
Oh
and
shit.
the show is cancelled. There's a fire in the workshop in the basement of the theater,
Oh fuck. Okay.
and so literally the biggest show of my life was cancelled a minute before we were about to get on,
Dude.
and that was something. It did make us the talk of town though, that a show got cancelled. So a lot of comics, like a lot of like big comics were pretty warm. They like Jimmy Carr offered us some spots and all,
So
and
you couldn't do it again?
no, we got the venue again the next day
Hmm.
at the same time, but there weren't 800 people anymore. There were about 600, which was still great. Like it was
Yeah.
almost like looking full, and that
Yeah.
show went great. Absolutely went great. Everybody
Okay.
did well, but there was no camera crew because they were not available the next day.
Oh shit,
So
dude.
we did not get a recording at like that beautiful fucking theater in a
Yeah.
show that's killing hard. We had to do they arranged another show for the taping because obviously it was
Yeah.
part of our contracts and all, so they had to do it. So they organized another very late night kind of a thing,
Hmm.
late night 50-60 people. uh, that was also fun, but it was nowhere close to an auditorium
Yeah.
of 600. Like
That
this
build up
was
is just, oh man.
yeah.
So
So
what was so were you told what to say, and were your jokes screened, and were you do you have to be PC, and do you have to like not be non-offensive, and were there kind of like a mandate that you have to follow, because it seems like quite a
uh,
curated kind of
it was it
lineup.
was
Yeah.
it was curated in the sense that they asked for the transcript of my 6 minute. We had to all do 6 minutes,
Oh,
and
right.
they asked for the transcript way back, like maybe 2 3 weeks before the show,
Holy shit.
and
Okay.
they went through it. Had some good advice actually. The booker for me, he gave me some. He actually like I discussed with him that I knew 4 minutes of my set, but
Right.
my closing joke I have three options,
Right.
and and I basically listed down the pros and cons of each, and he kind of nudged me in the right way. He did not tell me what to do, but
Right.
his advice really helped me to make the decision in the end of like
Nice.
what would be my closing. So they were like involved in it. I remember we even discussed this when I met him. We discussed my set then also, so he was aware of all my jokes. He remembered
Okay.
this routine. So he did that with all 10 people, so that he probably was doing it to put everybody at ease,
Yeah.
and at the same time ensure that there is not like no, like for me there was no feedback of like don't do this, but
Mm.
for others like they got feedback like this is not relevant anymore, this seems like a 2011 joke or something else, but nobody really got censored as such or told you don't say anything.
Did that make you feel like really sort of uptight when you're rehearsing and running it by so many people? Because I mean, so I mean, because it feels like you're so kind of it's almost like you're acting out your part, right?
Yeah. No, I did not mind this actually. I I think this helped because I was not really rehearsing or anything. He just asked for the transcript. I sent the transcript,
Okay.
and
Okay.
then based on the feedback, I was testing out stuff here. So here I did
Right.
not have somebody the feeling of somebody looking over me.
Oh, you did
Uh,
the rehearsal. I mean, you did the sort of reiterations in Bombay.
in Bombay. I was doing
Okay.
it at
Okay. Okay.
TCC, and so it was pretty chill. Like in TCC, nobody knew that I am practicing for there,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
over
Yeah.
there,
Okay.
people didn't know. Okay, I'm doing it like this. So it made like in Australia, I was doing 20 minutes,
Right.
and I knew that out of those 20 minutes, there's about 10 minutes of short jokes, like and
Huh.
one big set. That was my game plan in Australia. Over
Nice.
here, my thing was okay, I'm just going to do short jokes. So in 6 minutes, I will do 12 jokes. Like that was my plan. So I
Right.
was figuring out of those 10 minutes that like is really killing in Australia, what do I choose? And having this somebody from JFL actually tell me ki maybe do this, maybe do this. The industry will be there and all of that. It actually helped me like make some decisions. Otherwise, I would like just keep everything open and then fuck up in the end. So I didn't mind
And
this.
no, that's, I think, because also those guys have an eye and a ear for
Yeah.
these things, right? Then, but do you think so? What comes out of it? So because what they take from your set could really position you for the rest of your career, right? If you get picked up, as in, like, say you're this kind of comedian which comes across from your material, that can
Yeah.
really sort of define
Yeah.
the sort of path you take going forward, right?
Yeah, it does. Actually, one of the discussions that I had with him was a joke on Gandhi.
Hmm.
That so I like my question to him was, I have this joke on Gandhi, which I probably is not my plan A.
Hmm.
Like plan A, like I want to close with something, but here's another option where I'm closing with Gandhi because this is a Gandhi joke from an Indian. This
Yeah.
is a Gandhi joke from me, which is very different from all the Gandhi jokes that you've heard, like in
Yeah.
Canada or in the US. And it also is a good closing, like an Indian comic closes with a Gandhi joke. My
Yeah.
first jokes were also in India, so it gave me a sense of completion. So do you think I should like consider this because this 6 minutes is my like audition for the world in that
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
So he said that it is actually, so your 6 minutes is basically a representation of like what kind of comedy you do, so you can totally do it. But
Hmm.
then as I like got closer to the show, I realized that it's more important to kill than like showcase that okay, I have a Gandhi joke. uh,
Hmm.
So I felt that like that Gandhi joke also kills, but it requires a lot of setup, which I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
want to do in this kind of a show. This kind of a show was like, just start a joke, end a joke, start a joke, end a joke.
Yeah,
So
6 minutes at the end of the day. You don't want to sort of spend 5 minutes, 55 seconds on the build up, right? Yeah.
yeah. But definitely these 6 minutes would, like, if people see these 6 minutes, if somebody from the US sees the 6 minutes, they would, like, get a good indication of who I am as a comic.
Yeah.
Even without the Gandhi joke, I think, like, there's enough.
So it
Uh,
matters to be funny first as opposed to building your calling card kind of thing, right?
absolutely,
Right.
yeah. That's the main thing.
So what's next steps, man, before we wind up? Like, so what has come out of it? What is your plan for stand up? What's come out of JFL? Are we looking at the next Priyanka Chopra Jonas?
Definitely, you're not looking at that.
Yeah, the
No.
next FBI special investigator on Miami Vice.
So I think JFL and Roadshow back to back was a great experience for me,
Hmm.
and I would just want to have these experiences from time to time.
Yeah,
Like that's my goal right now. These experiences really make me like love comedy more and more. Gives me a purpose to do, because, like, apart from that, I was not really building towards anything. I don't,
mm,
like, have a special to build towards or do anything. So this gave me a purpose for a few months, and the
nice.
experiences were great. So my takeaway from this year of stand up is every year I should have like a month or two of, like, these like unusual experiences that I would not get in a Bombay or a Delhi. That's
Yeah,
my aim for the coming years. The JFL, I feel like uh, it will take time for this property to become big. This
right.
is something that they are also like figuring it out. Like, this year they had one Indian. Maybe next year they'll have two,
Mm,
and slowly the scene will build. For the industry at JFL, I think they'll also take some time to warm up to this. Like, they also need to know that if you want to sign somebody from an India, or if you
yeah,
want to sign somebody from, say, Algeria, what are you going to do with that person? So
correct, correct.
so all of this probably will take time to consolidate, but hope they keep doing it, because it's a very good gig to get. It's a great
Yeah.
experience, like, flying down for that one show, but like also getting the whole festival experience.
Oh,
Uh,
must have been something. You must have been like a kid in a candy shop, right?
yeah,
Just,
completely.
oh,
Like,
yeah.
I was so, like, I didn't know what to do next, which is why I said I enjoyed Australia more, because Australia was spread over a month, and
Yeah.
every day I knew I had 14 shows to look forward to. Over here, everything was packed into like 5 days, 5 or 6 days, one show.
Mm,
So I just didn't know, like, I didn't get any time to, like, just absorb. I was just moving from one show to another, one party to another.
yeah.
Drank a lot.
Yeah, of course. No, and
Yeah,
that's, I mean, that the fringe for me was like your it was kind of, you kind of get a little warped in the head
yeah.
because you're doing whatever 28 specials over 28 days. It's just tiring, man. You don't
It is. It
get to
is.
enjoy the shows because you're like, oh shit, will I get, first of all, you have to go and you have to give out flyers. Next thing, you're like, am I going to be get a reviewer in, and you're hearing
Yeah,
all this. So it becomes, I feel in some way it plays to your um, it plays to the non-comedic aspect of comedy, which
yeah,
is getting crowds, which is getting agents to represent or getting reviewers, getting
yeah,
listed as the best new show or whatever. And after a point, you're just like, you get tired. I mean, it makes you a
yeah.
tighter comedian because you're doing 28 hours of that same set over 28 days, but and you're doing spots across the other sort of time frame. But
Uh,
I don't know. I don't know how enjoyable it is when I look back, to start.
well, I think it's something that everybody should go through,
Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely.
It's a unique experience, but like, thankfully, this road show, which was like a 1 month thing, did not have the business aspect of it. That's why it was
Mm.
so enjoyable, because
Yeah, it
this
sounds great.
yeah, road show is like the circus coming to town. So it was not our headache about, like, ticket sales and all of that. We had to
Yeah.
just ensure that we perform, we kill hard, and we
And it's
give
like
them
you're
a good
traveling with
show.
four other guys or
Yeah,
girls, and you're basically talking comedy, you're laughing, everyone has a
just
sense of
comedy.
humor. Yeah.
Ha. And also, like, the thing about, like you say, doing 28 shows in 30 days, we also did not have that much pressure, because we did 14 shows in 30 days. So we
Yeah.
do like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3 towns, and then we would have 4 days off, and we would go away to a beach and stay at a beach for 2 days.
How
So
cool.
it was punctuated with these experiences. So it was
Dude, that should
well,
be life, man. We travel like on holiday and we get to do shows which are already planned and
yeah.
ticketed, that is a life.
I couldn't believe what this roadshow that I got.
That's
I couldn't
brilliant.
believe it, man. This is incredible. This can't get better. Every week I'm thinking, wow, this is the best life, and then next week becomes better. What the fuck is going on? And
Yeah.
I also experienced focusing on stand up after a long time.
Mm.
Being a student of stand up is not something that probably I've done after the early days.
Mm, mm, mm.
When I used to come to say like a take five and all, and watch others and like study and all of that in the early days. But over here, I found myself doing it. I didn't plan it, but I just found myself rehearsing. I would never rehearse like in
Yeah.
front of a mirror and all, but over here in hotel rooms in like in Banbury and Kalgurli and all these places, I'm suddenly in front of a mirror rehearsing my opening lines and all. So
How
so it
brilliant.
surprised me. I was like disciplined after ages. That surprised me, and yeah, but it because I did not have tickets to sell, flyers to do, and all. I could just focus on the stand-up part of it. So,
And what fun that is, just getting back to the basics. I think that's
yeah,
something I think we all need to revisit. And I'm glad that happened, man.
yeah, it's fantastic.
Super, Anirban. I think that's great. And as I said, maybe we're looking at the next special investigator on the next Hollywood hit. But no, man. Besides that, I hope we can gig together, and
Yes,
hope you come to Bangalore and we do some shows and also share parenting tips.
yes.
You're a few months ahead of me, so I'm going to call
Yeah.
you and say, dude, what's happening?
What's your daughter's name?
Her name is Shasa Tanisi Rao.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
How about you?
nice.
What have you named?
Adrita,
Oh,
Adrita.
lovely, lovely,
Yeah,
lovely, lovely.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, our daughters are going to grow up together.
Yes.
So we,
Yes, two comedy kids coming into the world at the
oh
same
wow,
time.
okay, good stuff, man. Congratulations to your wife and you, and thanks so much for
You too.
taking time to join me today.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Big hug to your little one. Take care
Yes.
and see you soon.